Hey, how are you, my darling viewers? How are you doing tonight? I hope you are fantastic. Aki, miss. Aki, let me just say, I've missed you guys this week. I hope you've been fantastic. And you know what? I'm here to make sure that any Friday, any the week, you share power on this 4th of July. I hope you're fantastic tonight. Of course, we have the top stories of the night. But apart from that, we have a fantastic conversation with one Samuel Ojwang. He's an advocate. Lakini yani, amepitia paka bipolar. He was able to conquer it. And he's now a mental health awareness champion. I am so excited to meet him tonight here in studio. And of course, Willis Ojwang, the word master, joining us live and direct from Kisii County. He's going to be teaching us those difficult pronunciations. All right, it's going to be a fantastic 1 hour, 10 minutes or so. You know what? Keep it here with me, locked on TV 47. By the way, thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the highlights. Late teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang laid to rest at his family's home in GOtv village, Homa Bay County.
Tunahuzunika sana kwa sababu polisi wanafaa to protect life and property. Lakini polisi ndiye anachukua maisha ya wananchi wa Kenya.
The somber ceremony took place amid growing calls for justice as questions surrounding the circumstances of his death remain unresolved. Opposition leaders led by DCP Chief Rigathi Gachagua intensified their presence in Western Kenya, rallying support and criticizing the government's performance.
Nyinyi mmetumika vibaya, si ndio? Huyu Raila mnamsaidia, mnampatia kura, anatoa fujo, anaingizwa kwa serikali, anawacha nyinyi kwa mataa.
As Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, joined by Kenya Kwanza allies, led an empowerment initiative in Kilifi County and accused the opposition of fanning tribal divisions for political mileage.
Kazi ya Deputy President ni ya kuchunga taifa na kusaidiana na viongozi wale wengine, sio kubweka na kuzurura na kuleta fujo na kuleta ukabila.
President William Ruto defends the controversial construction of a 1.2 billion shillings church at State House, stating that the funds are from his personal resources.
Kanisa ya mabati inatoshana na State House, hata kwa maoni yenu. So, nasijengi na pesa ya serikali, mimi najenga na pesa yangu.
The announcement has stirred mixed reactions from the public. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on TV 47. This is This Friday with me, Betty Kialo. Of course, let's begin with our top stories tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloy. Now, blogger and high school teacher Albert Ojwang has been laid to rest at his home in Nyawango Village, Homa Bay County. Now, his burial brought together thousands of mourners, including family, friends, and political leaders who united in calling for justice over his controversial death while in police custody. Elizabeth Atieno tells us more.
A somber mood engulfed Nyawango Village in Homa Bay County, as thousands of Kenyans from far and wide congregated in this homestead for the burial ceremony of Albert Ojwang, who met his tragic death on the 7th of June this year while in lawful custody. Those who attended the burial ceremony, including a section of political leaders, have expressed their rage, demanding those involved in Ojwang's death face the full force of the law.
And we will be following this death of Albert closely. Those police who have been charged in court, we will follow up to see that they are actually charged with murder. I want to say that the police must exercise restraint and at the same time provide for security that is needed.
Deputy Inspector General of Police, Bwana Eliud Lagat, lazima ashikwe, lazima pelekwe kotini, na lazima afungwe for life kwa kuua kijana wetu Albert.
The late Ojwang, who was born on the 7th of July 1994, a date that coincides with the historic Saba Saba Day, his family now calling on Kenyans to turn out in large numbers to celebrate his birthday this coming Monday.
Huyo kijana ambaye mnaona picha yake hapo, nilimuona akiwa mdogo tokea azaliwe akiwa na kitu ndani yake.
Albert Ojwang's mahogany casket stood at the center of attention, draped with a bold red over Manchester United flag, a tribute to his lifelong love for the English football club, and a Kenyan flag representing loyalty to country, and his framed photo placed at the head of the casket bearing the emotional message of forever in our hearts, as indeed Albert's memory will remain in the hearts of many Kenyans.
Nimemwachilia kwa amani, kijana wangu alale kwa amani. Mungu aweze kuwabariki.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Well, rest in peace, Albert Ojwang. Now, 28-year-old Maina, who was shot dead by police during the June 25th, 2025 Gen Z anniversary demonstrations in Nairobi, was laid to rest today at Kagoma village in Kirinyaga County. Now, families, friends and local residents gathered to pay their final respects as calls for justice grew louder. Now, the family is appealing to the government to ensure accountability and bring those responsible for his killing to book. Well, this story has been produced by Fatima Suleiman.
Waving the national flag and chanting anti-government slogans, a group of youth carried the casket of the late Maina. With the family of the late Brian strongly condemning the government for its handling of the protest and the violent crackdown on youth. They are now calling for dialogue to address the demands raised by Gen Z demonstrators.
Uchungu kwa hii mjukuu wangu na naongea na uchungu. Mbona serikali mnamaliza watoto yetu? Mtatumalizia watoto paka lini? Simkae chini muongee na vijana, msikilizane.
Brian's grandfather, Joseph Waweru, has urged police officers to end their brutality and to desist from following orders from above blindly and instead look at the youths as their sons, daughters, brothers and sisters.
Polisi wale wanaua watoto. Kama ni ndugu yako anapigwa risasi anakufa, wewe unaweza kufurahi. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba hata polisi waache kusikia mambo ya wakubwa wao kuua watoto.
Maina was among the Gen Z protesters who took to the streets during the anniversary of last year's demonstrations. Tragically, he was struck at the back of the head, allegedly by a police officer, leading to internal bleeding and ultimately his death. He leaves behind a wife and 2 children.
Anatuuliza tu baba yake yuko wapi, baba yake yuko wapi. Baba yake ndio ule sasa.
Meanwhile, mourners have raised their concerns on the promises made by President William Ruto during his campaigns regarding extrajudicial ways of handling perceived wrongdoers.
Hii ndio ilikuwa inaitwa bottom up. Hii ni bottom up kweli?
Hii si bottom up, ni killer.
This is a killers.
Kumalizia watoto. Across the country ahead of the much anticipated Saba Saba demonstrations with growing fears over public safety and disruption. Well, medical unions KMPDU and KUSO have announced that their members will not be deployed to assist injured protesters, citing past incidents where the medics were attacked by criminal gangs during previous demonstrations. As Quinto Wafula reports, peace efforts are being intensified across several counties in a bid to prevent violence and further losses.
Medical unions KMPDU and KUKO have jointly declared they will not risk the safety of their members by attending to the injured during protests. They claim their personnel have suffered brutality and attacks by hired goons when in duty. The unions are also urging the government to address the root causes of the demonstration and respond to protesters' grievances.
Kwa sababu wiki iliyopita tumepata taarifa zaidi ya watu 7 wahudumu wa afya 7 waliweza kuvunjiwa wengine magari na wengine kuibiwa masimu yao. Basi wajue kunapokuwa kuna chaos, tutatahadharisha watu wetu kwa sababu maisha ni muhimu.
In Nanyuki, business owners held a special meeting with the Laikipia County security teams to discuss how to safeguard their enterprises during protests.
Jaribu kuharibu mali,
tutawashika na tutawapeleka kotini na tutawadhibiti kwa vilivyo kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna mali ingine ambayo itaharibiwa katika kaunti yetu.
Kuulizana, je, tutaendelea hivi katika Laikipia kwa sababu mamilioni ya pesa yamepotea, duka wanabiashara wamefunga.
In Meru County, security chiefs and deputy governor are holding peace forums across the town, warning residents against participating in the Saba Saba protest.
Amri ya waandamanaji kutunzwa, watembee polepole, waandamane kama iko maandamano halali, si amri ya watu kufanyiwa vitu vingine.
Tangazo lako la kuandamana kwa polisi, ulisema utavunja nyumba ya mtu.
In Athi River, Machakos County, residents have voiced their concerns over the ongoing demonstrations, warning that continued unrest threatens national security and unity.
Vijana wetu wana Jay-Z, watu wa Mavoko, tafadhalini na waomba kwa heshima, musitoke Saba Saba kuharibu inji, kuharibu mali ya Wakenya.
In Kisii, a section of religious leaders have urged the government to listen to the youth and empower them economically to shield them from manipulation by politicians who fund unrest for selfish gains.
Ujumi sio development peke yake, ni wananchi kuwa na pesa ama kuwa na uwezo wa kupata pesa.
Finally, the National University Students' Union is urging the government to hold a dialogue with the country's youth to find a sustainable way to addressing their needs and creating innovative employment opportunities.
Let us convert protest into policy, unrest into unity, and frustrations into opportunity.
Tutatishana na ukitaka
Kinto Wafula, TV47.
Thanks, Quinto, for that. Now, President William Ruto's decision to contribute money towards building a church in State House has sparked mixed reactions from a section of the public. Now, while some religious leaders support the initiative, others argue that it may cause unnecessary division and public criticism. While speaking from State House, President Ruto defended the move, saying it is a personal commitment to his faith and dismissed those opposing it. Paul Kirobi tells us more.
After reports emerged that President William Ruto is constructing a church at State House at a cost of at least 1.2 billion shillings, the head of state has moved quickly to defend his decision, adding why he feels the church at State House should be constructed properly. Ruto, known for his close ties to the church, remained unapologetic in the face of growing backlash.
Mimi ni mtu naamini Mungu. Na I have no apologies to make. Kwa kujenga kanisa, I have no apology. Mnanielewa? Na hakuna mtu nitaomba msamaha. Kwa kujenga kanisa, tutajenga kanisa ya Mungu. Shetani akasirike, afanye ile anataka.
The announcement has drawn mixed reactions from across the country. For instance, in Mombasa, some members of the Muslim community expressed concern, urging the president to consider building a mosque as well, emphasizing equal treatment for all faiths.
La Wakristo ama kanisa, nasi pia twaomba ipatikane jengo la Waislamu ili tukiwa sehemu kama ile nasi tupate sehemu ya kuswali. Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Kenya kuna dini tofauti na ni haki kwa kila dini pia, kama ni hivyo basi pia msikiti ijengwe katika hiyo State House.
The move that has attracted sharp criticism from members of the public has also had religious leaders weighing in, with Bishop Geoffrey Muthinji of Calvary Church cautioning that the president's move could lead to religious divisions and alienate other faith communities.
He see serikali yetu is not a state ile ambao kanisa inakuwa run by the state.
Many Kenyans believe that 1.2 billion shillings could have been better used to ease the economic hardships currently affecting citizens.
Hata tani kutengeneza hiyo kanisa yako. Tunauliza bwana president, swali. Hii sasa, hii unatupeleka wapi? Kwa sababu tukiangalia wewe you are a sharp guy, ni mtu ambao umesoma.
The president made these remarks on Thursday while hosting leaders from Embu County, led by Governor Cecily Mbarire at State House. His statement comes just months after a visit to Jesus Winner Ministry, where he donated money amid youth-led demonstrations spearheaded by Gen Z. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Confessed serial killer Evans Juma Wanjala has been sentenced to life in prison for the horrific murder of 10-year-old Stacey Acheng in Moy's Bridge, Uasin Gishu County. Well, as Samira Mohammed reports, Justice Ruben Nyakundi ruled that the prosecution had convincingly demonstrated that Wanjala had planned and carried out the crime. Now, the judge described the act where Stacey was defiled before being killed as an offense against humanity and said the sentence reflects the gravity of the crime.
4 years later,
make sure that we are able to move.
Finally, the journey to finding justice for the 5 children who were brutally murdered by a self-confessed serial killer, Evans Juma Wanjala, has come to an end.
No other person, because
with Justice Ruben Nyakundi issuing a life sentence to the self-proclaimed serial killer for the brutal murder of 10-year-old Stacey Acheng at Moy's Bridge in Uasin Gishu County.
Solomon Evans, for this offense of defiling this 10-year-old and killing him, I impose a life imprisonment sentence. And your 14 days to appeal.
In his ruling, Justice Ruben Nyakundi said the court was satisfied with the prosecution's evidence that Wanjala deliberately planned and executed the crime. He termed the killing an offense against humanity, noting that the minor was defiled before being murdered.
Which are the serious, which were planned, which were executed. And this is what I call an offense against humanity, which was done to this young girl.
Justice Nyakundi further said even though Wanjala had the choice of defiling the child and letting her live carrying the scars of defilement or sexual assault, he went ahead and brutally took her life. Nyakundi said at the time of the killing, between the year 2020 and 2021, many children were missing with a pattern of defilement and brutal killing in the same Moy's Bridge area.
Not only did this victim was defiled, but his right to life under Section 2003 was violated.
In his ruling, the judge noted that scientific evidence showed that DNA samples extracted from the deceased private parts matched with those of Wanjala, squarely placing the accused at the center of the crime.
But if you look for tangible evidence of remorse and regret, you will never find it. So your remorse and regret exist insofar as paper is concerned. And I not really see what we call a contrite heart of you seeking forgiveness to the family who lost this particular young girl.
Wanjala is linked to the brutal killing of 5 minors, but the High Court found him guilty in one of the murder cases he faces. In his frightening confession to the detectives at the onset of the case, Wanjala took investigators to various scenes where he reportedly committed the offences. Samira Mohammed for TV 47, Nairobi.
Well, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has taken aim at the opposition, accusing them of lacking a clear agenda for the ordinary Kenyan and instead fueling tribal politics. While speaking during a women empowerment forum in Malindi, Kilifi County, Kindiki urged Kenyans to be cautious and not to be misled by leaders he says have no real interest in their well-being. Well, he defended the government's ongoing empowerment programs, saying they are aimed at uplifting lives across the country. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mituku has more.
For the second day, Kenya Kwanza Brigade, led by Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, pitched tent in the coastal region, today camping in Malindi, Kilifi County in women empowerment meetings. Kindiki and his brigade told off the opposition brigade over their current politics, which he terms divisive and meant to drive tribal narratives aimed at dividing Kenyans into tribal lines, urging Kenyans to be vigilant.
Sema Ruto must go. Iko manifesto inaitwa Ruto must go. Iko manifesto inaitwa Kasongo. Iko manifesto inaitwa one term. Kwa hivyo wale majamaa, nani majamaa wameshindwa na kazi. Hakuna mtu mgeni pale. Ukiwaangalia wale, hakuna mtu hajakuwa waziri, wengine wamekuwa makamu wa rais, wengine wamekuwa viti kubwa serikalini. Lakini hakuna track record hapa Malindi. Huwezi sema kitu moja ambayo hao watu siku ile walikuwa na viti ambao walileta hapa. Mimi nikirudi hapa 2027 tukiwa na rais, mimi nitajitetea ile mambo nimesukuma.
Father Kindiki and his team defended the empowerment meetings, which have been under criticism in the recent past from the opposition, even as they insisted that they are fulfilling the Kenya Kwanza manifesto by ensuring Kenyans are empowered under the bottom-up agenda.
Sio mtu wa chuki, sio mtu wa uchochezi, ni mtu wa maendeleo, ni mtu wa empowerment, mtu ya kusongesha stima, kusongesha barabara ya Sanagi, kusongesha affordable housing, kusongesha SHA, ili wananchi wapate huduma ya afya. Hayo ndio mambo sisi tunawaambia tukiwa pande timu ya William Ruto na Profesa Kindiki na Mung'aro na Mama Maina.
Kenya Kwanza walikuwa hawakutaki wewe Rigiji, walikuwa wanamtaka Profesa Kithure Kindiki. Kwa hivyo wewe umetimuliwa kwa sababu Mungu mwenyewe pia hakupenda. Hiyo riziki ilikuwa si yako. Hiyo riziki ilikuwa ni ya Profesa Kithure. Hivi sasa riziki Mungu ameijalia imerudi kwa mwenyewe, ama sivyo hivyo?
The team further praised the broad-based government steered by President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga for uniting Kenyans through developments, urging Kenyans to support them in 2027 polls as they sought their two-terms narratives.
Ukiulizwa one term, Kasongo, Ruto must go. Sisi ukisikia wananchi wanasema Ruto two term, sio bure. Hiyo ukisikia two term sio maneno bure. Ukisikia two term wanasema zile barabara zimejengwa ziongezeke zaidi. Hiyo ndio two term. Tukuja na rais.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Now, tonight, the United Opposition Alliance has allayed fears among their supporters in the search for a flag bearer, saying they are ready to endorse anyone among their ranks to face President William Ruto in 2027. Now, the opposition team, which wrapped up its Western Kenya tour in Busia and Bungoma counties, said they are united in their quest to make President William Ruto a one-term president, while slamming ODM party leader Raila Odinga for what they said was misleading Western Kenya to support President Ruto. Apollo Kamau reports.
Harambe! Eti Bungoma mnasemaje?
Opposition leaders led by Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Fred Matiang'i, George Natembeya, and Eugene Wamalwa took their one-term campaigns for President William Ruto to Busia and Bungoma counties, promising to deliver the Mlembe nation from the grips of President William Ruto's political mistakes and his broad-based partner Raila Odinga.
Wacha nimusalimie ile uongo ya Kasongo. Musangarire. Musangarire. Morevaramu. Ni muongo si muongo? Harambe! Wewe Ruto. Wewe Kasongo. Wewe Zakayo. Wewe Kaongo. Wewe mwizi, wewe muuaji, wewe mtu ya kutenga. Harambe!
During the Meet the People tours, the opposition big guns assured their support base that they are united and the search for presidential flag bearer to face Ruto will not divide the opposition.
Nataka kuuliza watu ya Busia. Watu ya Busia, tukisikizana ni Eugene Wamalwa mtaunga yeye mkono. Watu ya Busia, tukisikizana ni Fred Matiang'i mtaunga yeye mkono. Watu ya Busia, tukisikizana ni Kalonzo Musyoka mtaunga yeye mkono. Watu ya Busia, tukisema ni Natembeya mtaunga yeye mkono. Tukisema ni Martha Karua mtaunga yeye mkono. Na wakisema ni Rigiji. Unajua hii Kasongo, mimi nikipata hiyo nafasi nitamkimbiza kama baisikeli ya kuibua.
During the Mlembe tour, President William Ruto ODM party leader Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi, and Moses Wetangula were put on the spot for allegedly misleading the region.
Kumbukeni Ruto alikuja Kakamega, akamtisha mwindi moja, akasema mambo ni mangapi? Mambo ni mangapi? Huyo mwindi alitishika mpaka akaenda polepole kidogo anapelekwa na ndugu yangu Weta kwa Ruto. Akaamua mambo matatu, tutakulipa kwa sababu tulisema tutakusafirisha kwa Mungu.
Nilikuwa na Ruto akaita Weta, akampatia vitu mbili za kusema. Akamwambia ukubali uuze Nzoia ama uuze Ford Kenya. Wetangula akachagua Nzoia.
Ruto aliahidi siku 100 mkimpigia kura, akiweka Biblia chini, ataleta mashine mpya Nzoia. Alisema hakusema? Mashine alileta. Si ameuza? Alisema atalipa wakulima wetu wote wa miwa. Hadi sasa wakulima wamelipwa.
President Ruto was specifically put on the spot for mismanaging the government and the economy, with the leader saying the president should be jailed once he leaves office.
Kasongo sio tu kwenda. Uwezi kuwa umeiba vijana, umeiba mali ya wananchi kama vile Nzoia hapa, alafu tukuachilia tunafuga kuku hapa Usugui. Lazima Kasongo tukimtutua kule Ikulu mara moja kotini. Kama kuna watu ambao wanabeba rungu kuingia town, lazima serikali inajua ni akina nani. Hawezi kusema eti watu wanabeba rungu wameingia hapo kuvunja maduka ya watu, wameletwa na watu wa upinzani. Mbona hawajawakamata? Sababu walikuwa huko na polisi wakifanya hayo maneno. Nyinyi mnakubali maneno kama hayo?
Apol Kamau, TV47.
Well, politics, I'm telling you. Well, moving on, farmers in Machakos County have been urged to adopt the use of biological pesticides as a sustainable solution to pest control and a safer alternative to conventional chemical pesticides that have long harmed the environment and reduced crop yields. Now, speaking during a training session in Kabar, organized by Mount Kenya University in partnership with the University of Nairobi and other institutions, Professor Cecilia Mora Onyango said the initiative would not only save farmers money, but also support the fight against climate change. Dr. Alan Moeke from Mount Kenya University echoed the remarks, saying prolonged use of chemical pesticides has led to resistance in pests, making farming costlier and less productive. The training brought together over 30 farmers from the region.
Wakati nilikuwa natumia hizo madawa za kemikali, nikinyunyuzia, hiyo mwili inawasha siku mzima, hata ukioga unasikia mwasho ya mwili. Hiyo ni allergically. So kwa saa hii vile natumia dawa ya biological, haina madhara yoyote kwa mwili wangu.
Kukusanyika hapa kukuja kusomesha wakulima vile wanaweza tumia madawa bandili badala ya kutumia yale madawa ambayo yanaathiri afya ya watu na pia na mazingira na pia mifugo. Haya madawa bandala yanafanya kazi na wanaweza kuyatumia na wanaweza pia piga madawa kwa muda kidogo. Hapa tunaonyesha kwamba unaweza piga dawa mara kidogo na ufune.
We are trying to push to the farmers for adoption so that there are an alternative to the chemical pesticides. This project is a collaboration between University of Nairobi and Mount Kenya University and many other partners in the
All right, now, well, it's now time for some sporting action. And of course, let's begin with our top story in sports. The Kenya national women's sitting volleyball team has secured a coveted spot at the 2025 World Paravolley Championships set for October in the United States. Now, the team coached by Richard Kihatu booked their place in the global tournament after Nigeria failed to turn up for the 2025 African Paravolley Championship, which kicked off today at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. Now, with the top 2 teams from the regional competition earning automatic qualification, Kenya and Rwanda both qualified by default and will now represent Africa on the world stage.
Disability in our sports. Of the many federations that we have registered, I think quite a number also federations representing people who are able differently. And therefore, when I see them praying, it demonstrates that talents does not have, or those talents may not be quite affected by the way one has been created. And therefore, the team which we have presented here is Kenya. As you can see, it's a big team of men and women team who have been camping here during their training.
Well, Kenya to the world's congratulations. Now, Kenya's top rally drivers are all set for the high-octane contest at the Rwanda Mountain Guerrilla Rally, which marks the 3rd leg of the Africa, of course, tournament. Let's just have a look at that.
Of fesh, and basically a lot of dust went into the engine, causing terminal damage, as you would call it, to the engine, and so our rally was over day 1, whereas we were really hoping for something we achieved in 2021, which was an 8th overall finish in WRC and 2nd in WRC 2.
Whereas Kenya is, yes, you have your flowing stages, but it's quite technical, it's rough. So it was quite forgiving to be in Rwanda. In Uganda. In Rwanda, we were there last year, and from the itinerary, it looks more or less the same stages or similar stages. So having that experience of last year, I think we understand what to expect.
All right, now a renewed call has been made to the Ministry of Sports to increase support for women's cycling in Kenya and to bolster athletics at large, disciplines that have raised the country's flag high both locally and globally. Now, young and determined cyclist Monica Jelimo is at the forefront of the push, highlighting how gender discrimination continues to hold women back in the cycling scene. Well, despite these barriers, she is calling on fellow women to embrace the sport, pointing out its far-reaching benefits from improving health and boosting income to building self-confidence and resilience.
Ni unique thing hapa Iten. Kila mtu anaamka anakimbia, baiskeli ni chache zinaonekana. Naweza encourage wazazi wasaidie watoto wao kama wanapenda kuendesha baiskeli. Mimi baiskeli imenipa muonekano mpya. Sasa hizi naweza julikana, ninaweza tembea nchi mingi, kurace na kushindana na pia kumentor watu wengine wanapenda kuride baiskeli. Race nimetoka hivi majuzi ilikuwa inaitwa Migration Gravel Race, ilikuwa Masai Mara, lakini hiyo ilikuwa off-road, ikuwa road kama ya Kaptagat, and it was 650 plus kilometers in 4 days. Nilikuwa first Kenyan to cross the line, and nilikuwa number 7.
Okay, sasa tumemaliza maneno ya news, the top stories. Thank you so much to the team, of course, that has made that bulletin, you know, the way it is, very comprehensive. And you know what, the second part of the show, mnajuanga inakuwa sasa mambo moto yani. Sasa ni vibes sasa zimeanza as we start, of course, our Friday, our weekend here on TV 47. So you know what, today we have a different kind of guest. You know what, sometimes we need inspiration, we need people who can challenge our thinking and everything. And so I got the right man for the job. So let me invite him in, Samuel Ojwang.
Hi, Betty.
Pole. Ujamini Mluya, sasa wewe ni pia ni Ojwang. Sasa tukipatana inakuwa like a serious concussion. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Unafanya job mingi. He's an advocate, first of all.
Yes.
Mental health champion.
Yes.
He's also an artist.
Yes.
Hizi makesi unashindanga kweli?
Nashindanga.
Ama unakwanga tu hapo kwa studio tu?
Nashindanga. Yeah. An accomplished advocate. A gospel musician. Mental health advocate. Yeah.
Hey, nice. I love it. I love it. I want us to talk about so many things about mental health and, of course, what you're doing for the community. So many people, you know, across the country.
Yes.
Ebu sasa you're an advocate. You're a gospel artist.
Yes.
Ebu tuchapie tu tune ya like 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Wacha tukupatie kama is a tick or a no. Wacha nisikie.
Unajua muimba my gospel music I combine Luo and English and Kiswahili. Sasa kuna kasong kanaitwa Kuon Chapat.
Kuon Chapat.
Inamaanisha ukishakula ugali which is kuon and chapati, kumbuka maombi.
Lakini unakula ugali na chapati. Hapo hivyo hapo hivyo ati kuon chapati. Unakula ugali na chapati. Zinaingiana pamoja ama
zinaingiana, so unaongeza na kitu. Ukishakula chapati, ugali na uji, kumbuka maombi. Ukishakula chapati, ugali na uji, kumbuka kusoma. Sasa inaenda hivi. Kuon chapat nyoka. Kisa chamo. Tomedema na gelamo. Sasa your part is just to say kuon chapat.
Okay, sawa.
1 2 3 go. Kuon chapat nyoka. Kisa chamo. Tomedema na gelamo. I say kuon chapat nyoka. Kisa chamo. Tomedema na gemoma. I say kuon chapat nyoka. Kisa chamo. Tomedema na gelamo. I say kuon chapat nyoka.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Nimeloni mongea kijaka wase, you know, kuon chapat. All right, sawa. You know what? Acha kupatie kazi. Kuja karibu hapa hivi. Kuja karibu, siogope. Tupeleke for a break. Acha nione kama unajua kweli kuongea in front of a national audience.
Yeah, in front of an audience.
This is the camera up.
Well, this has been the news hour. We are going for a short break.
News hour it is. TV 47. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
That was great.